What's up guys, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. We are carrying on the speed train of this championship season with another week of predictions. We made it to week 33 and blink before you miss it, yesterday we just concluded week 32. We are immediately getting on to week 33, so no time to rest guys. Make sure you leave your score predictions in the comments down below for you guys to enter some points on the Lexalexus Football Prediction League, which will be updated to you in a couple of weeks time from now. I'm still going to do my very best to predict as best as I can for what's going to be going on, but as always, it's always very difficult to do so. So if you guys like what you see, please smash the like button and really just have a look at this channel. It's aiming for 50 likes. That'll be absolutely amazing. Please do hit the subscribe button as well, because we are edging ever closer to 3,000 subscribers. The target is not too far away now, so thank you guys as always for the support, and it really does help. And please share the channel too. But without any further ado, let's start predicting week 33. We begin our predictions with QPR against Derby County. QPR are going off the back after a defeat against Coventry, of course. So they lost out by 1-0, a very late goal by Bobby Thomas. And it was a game that deemed 0-0 written all over it based on how the game had gone. I knew QPR actually did have some really good chances in that game, but weren't able to take them. And I feel like, especially in the last minute with a corner, and I felt Coventry were really targeting the set pieces with QPR, but there just needed to be a lot more to be done to try and clear the ball from danger. But there was a bit of controversy whether if QPR were, felt a little bit angry for the fact that their goalkeeper was obstructed. But either way, it made for some really late drama, and Coventry are just flying at the moment. QPR are facing a Derby side where they themselves are in a bit of managerial limbo at the moment. It does sound like to me that John Eustace will be the new Derby County manager, but as of recording, he's not been confirmed. Now, it would really make sense for him to be confirmed before even when this video comes out. Now, for the fact that Derby do have the early game this week, it really does give whoever is coming in, 95% chance will be John Eustace, very little time to prepare for this squad for this game. And as a prediction, I do think Derby will still not be at their full potential yet, but they have got the odd draw in them, and the fact they actually draw their last two games, Derby are actually out of the relegation zone, momentarily at least, by goal difference. I think I'm going to go for a QPR win. QPR have been a lot stronger at home as of late, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to QPR. But honestly, a draw would surprise me, and who knows what version of Derby we're going to see by the time tomorrow hits. Let me know what you think though in the comments. Next up, it's the seven-side derby between Cardiff and Bristol City. Cardiff themselves have been involved in back-to-back defeats in the Championship, of course losing 7-0 to Leeds, and they responded by not being able to beat Portsmouth either. In fact, that was a pretty bad defeat for Cardiff's part to lose against Portsmouth, who are also in the relegation battle with them. They are still above the drop zone currently, but it was a missed opportunity for Cardiff to get some breathing space in that region of the table. Bristol City, they managed to bounce back from that disappointing defeat against Swansea by beating Stoke City by 2-0. But of course, with Bristol City playing another Welsh side recently in Swansea, they come up short with a defeat. And what I have noticed is that Bristol City have been a lot better on the most part in their home games. It's really been their away games which have let them down. And it's told me that the consistency in the Championship, or at least the quality of it in this part of the table, is not entirely high, because Bristol City, I do associate them for being quite an inconsistent side in the Championship, but lo and behold, they are only just missing out on getting into that top 6 place. So it is so tight and congested in that part of the table that any side with a run of form at this point for a good couple of games could easily see themselves get a couple of points within the top 6 region of the table. As a prediction here, For me, Cardiff have been much better at home than they have been on the road. I've not been too convinced with Bristol City on the road. I'm going to therefore go for a Cardiff win. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Cardiff, actually. I can actually see them being a little bit more or less comfortable in that game. But, again, I would not be surprised if Bristol City somehow shock me and offer something to, offer something that I was not even expecting. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments. We were speaking about Portsmouth. This is going to be the next side we're going to be predicting. They have got an away game against Oxford. Now, it's amazing for me that I would have looked at this game right at the start of this season. I would have thought that's going to be a crucial relegation 6-pointer. But I'm now looking at both of these sides, but especially in Oxford's point of view, they have got so much breathing space now from the bottom three that actually I think they can look at this game just as a little bit of a push towards survival rather than a push away against relegation. I mean, it is amazing for what Oxford have done. Again, they didn't manage to lose in their game as well. I mean, it was a draw against Derby. Maybe they would have wanted something a little bit better from that game. But having said that, they did not lose again. It's another point on the board, and they are just chugging along this season. Portsmouth with a very crucial win on their hands. Obviously, they played Sheffield United, got a little bit unlucky with the scoreline, backed it up with a really good home win against Cardiff, another relegation rival. And they could arguably see Oxford as a team that Portsmouth are going to try and get towards in the table. But one thing I have said, Portsmouth's away form has been a lot more inconsistent than it has been with their home form. Oxford on the whole have improved greatly since Gary Rowett has come in, and as a prediction, I think they'll continue on their merry way, and they've actually been a lot better defensively since he's come in as well. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory to Oxford. I do think Oxford have got a really good role going on at their home games, and I just think Portsmouth struggle a little bit on the road, and I think they won't be able to contain Oxford here. Next up, we got Preston and Burnley, a Lancashire derby, and this is going to be the precursor for when they're going to have to meet in the FA Cup. I mean, what a draw that was for both clubs to get each other in the FA Cup. Apparently, they've actually never drawn and played an FA Cup game against each other, despite being part of this competition for over 100 years, which is crazy. But they're going to play against each other here, and in terms of which side I fancy, I really do not know, because Preston have been better. Their form has dramatically improved recently. A really good away win against Norwich in midweek as well. I put it as my thumbnail thinking that might be a bit of an outlandish prediction, but lo and behold, it was the correct prediction in the end. Osmajic with the only goal for Preston in that game. Burnley themselves got back to winning ways and are starting to now really start to get some consistency on the board with a 2-0 win against Hull City. Another clean sheet for Burnley. It's almost ridiculous the amount of clean sheets that they got already. Preston, I think, will actually be a bit of a threat though. So I am almost toying with that Burnley, shock for you, might actually concede a goal. But I don't know. I see this game being really, really tight and low scoring. Could easily be 0-0, as a lot of Burnley's games have ended 0-0 when Burnley have failed to win. I'm going to go for a 1-0 away win to Burnley. I think it's going to be close, but for what I have seen recently, they have got some individual players that can really whip up something special if they need to, and I just feel Burnley might need to rely on a little bit of individual magic, and I think they will find a way to get a goal. And it's just a question of whether they can defend against Preston, because honestly, I think Preston can actually offer a really big threat, but I cannot, not back that amazing clean sheet and defensive record from Burnley. So I'm going to go for another clean sheet, maybe a little bit reluctantly. I can easily see Preston being capable of breaching through this impenetrable backline of Burnley. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we see Blackburn and Plymouth. I mean, what on earth is going on with Blackburn? I mean, John Eustace wasn't managing Blackburn when they got their win yesterday against West Brom. Unbelievable win that was for Blackburn. Maybe performance-wise wasn't pointing towards a Blackburn win, but they were clinical enough when they needed to be. And it sees Blackburn in 5th place. And you have to put into hindsight that John Eustace may be jumping down from a team that's 5th all the way down to 21st. I mean, that is quite substantial, the drop in terms of league positions. But then when you put it to points point of view, they're not a million miles away, actually, which tells you how close the table has been all season. Plymouth, I mean, what on earth has happened? They have now started to win consistently. They have had 2 home games, to be fair to them, and I have said that I really back their home form over their away form. But 3 home wins in a row in all competitions, and it has seen Plymouth, go away from the bottom of the table, and they're now 23rd, and they are within a point of getting out of the bottom 3. It is amazingly close, this section of the table, and a good result for Plymouth will be absolutely crucial to put the pressure on Luton, Derby, Hull, Cardiff, Stoke, and all those other sides fighting relegation. But as a prediction, I think it might be Blackburn's game. I just think for me, Blackburn have been a little bit better with their home form, and it's more or less Plymouth's away form that I'm not too sure with. I wouldn't be surprised if Plymouth do muster a draw, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Blackburn. Both are doing rather well with their form per se, but I think it might be Blackburn that might edge it based on home advantage. Yeah, so we've got Hull and Norwich. Both are going to be wanting a good response from their midweek performances. Hull, of course, were involved in a defeat against Burnley. Maybe no disrespect there. Burnley are certainly to be a very difficult team to beat at the moment. Lost out by 2-0. Norwich, though, will be a lot more disappointed. They didn't go particularly too strong against Preston, but even when they did bring the substitutes on in the second half, they still did not find a way to score past this Preston side, and they lost by 1-0 despite pushing for that equaliser. And when you think about it, that's 2 home games and only 1 goal scored with however many chances they've had in both of those games. So Norwich, again, are finding these games where they're not quite firing on all cylinders and taking their chances. Hull, we've seen it time and time again, actually, that they can have an unbelievable performance, but then that's followed by a pretty below par performance. And I do think that's what we saw when they lost 2-1 at home against Stoke. This is a crucial game, and if Hull City do want to take survival seriously, they need to pick up at least a point here, because they're now in the relegation battle, and they're within the bottom 3 because of Derby picking up those 2 draws in a row recently. But you know what? I actually back Hull for something here. I don't know what it is, but I just think Norwich as a whole are so inconsistent. And that also makes me a little bit nervous that they could easily, blow teams away when it all clicks. But for me, with the story of the relegation battle of having 1 good week and 1 bad week with a lot of these sides, I think this is going to be the turn of Hull getting a good week. And I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Hull. Just gut instinct, I just have a feeling that Hull might be able to conjure up with a good result here. Let me know what you think in the comments. Next, we see 2 teams in opposite sides of the table. It is last place Luton going up against second place Sheffield United. And that is right, this is 2 recently relegated sides in 2 opposite ends of the table. And that tells you the response and the approach and how it could backfire differently on different clubs. So Sheffield United have kept their calm. They've kept a good core of the squad that was in the Premier League, which definitely were turned over and, conceding over 100 goals. But even with that, they sorted out the basics in their defending. They're scoring goals. They are just about getting by with some of the performances, but they're still accruing the points. And that is what they need, at least momentarily, when they're in the Championship. Luton are in many close encounters, but they are in the wrong side of those encounters, and they have now found themselves last place in the Championship with more defeats than any other side in the Championship, with 18 defeats in 32. That is atrocious for a recently relegated Premier League side. So Luton, for me, have got so much to try and build up on. They really now need to take each game as a cup final now. Now, the good thing with Luton, they are only within a couple of points of getting out of the bottom 3. If they have a large gap to breach, I'd be very worried if I was a Luton Town fan. But easily, 2 wins in a row could actually see Luton jump many places. So they just need 1 game to click, and I think that confidence will spark back to life for this Luton team. But as a prediction, they're facing a Sheffield United side who are still, maybe not playing at their 100%, but they're still finding a way to get a result. And I think we're going to see a similar result here favouring Sheffield United. I'm going to go for a 2-0 away victory to Sheffield United, and I sound a little bit harsh on them. They did have a really good win actually against Middlesbrough. I won't downplay that at all. A really good win against another top 6 rival, and I do think that experience and composure I think will carry across and give them 3 points here. Next up we see Middlesbrough and Watford. So Middlesbrough, of course, as I mentioned, lost out against Sheffield United, and they were momentarily in the game when they did get that equaliser for a good portion of that game. But they just lost steam in the final moments of the game and let the game slip away from their control. And ultimately, Sheffield United punished them for not managing the game well enough. Watford, for me, had the worst result in midweek, losing 4-0 at home to Leeds. And I was praising Watford's unbelievable home form. They have collapsed. Big style. They are actually the only other team with Luton Town who have not won in their last 5 games. So both Watford and Luton, both rivals, they are really struggling with their form. And honestly, I don't see it changing. I think Middlesbrough's form has been a little bit up and down, but they know they actually do have a game in hand with the other sides fighting for the top 6, and they know now if they can get a win here and get a good result with their game in hand, Middlesbrough will be having a tight grip on that top 6, and they, I think, will be eyeing for that. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a 3-1 victory to Middlesbrough. Watford are conceding a lot of goals at the moment, and I cannot underestimate Middlesbrough's goal scoring ability, so I think I'll back them for a home win here. Another 2 sides who'll be wanting to get 3 points is Millwall and West Brom. Millwall, what on earth happened with them? They were involved in a 5-1 defeat to Plymouth. That's the championship for you, and that is the sort of result you could get. Obviously, they were involved recently in that FA Cup win over Leeds, but going into this game, my goodness me, was it light and day. And Plymouth were carrying on with that unbelievable form that they've carried on from the FA Cup and have absolutely smashed Mill in that game here. But Mill really need to try and pick themselves up and recover. West Brom similarly, what on earth happened there? They were at home against Blackburn, and we've seen Blackburn do this a couple of times where they do pick up a really clutch away win, and that's exactly what they did against West Brom, despite West Brom actually having a couple of really good opportunities, and I think they had at least 1 goal disallowed as well. It has meant that West Brom are still within the top 6, but it was a bit of a blow because they could have easily stretched their lead from Blackburn, but now Blackburn have now really tightened up 5th place in the playoffs as it stands. Millwall, I mean, I don't even know. I can't fathom that performance. They need to show something surely in this game. As a prediction, it's 2 sides where I'm expecting a lot more from. I'm going to go for a draw actually. I don't think I've actually predicted a draw yet. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. That's what I'm feeling. But if either one of them wins by 1 goal, also I wouldn't be surprised with that either. Next up, we got Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry. I think this game is a lot closer now, following the fact that Coventry are really starting to start climbing up the championship with style. It's 4 wins in their last 5 games, and because of that, Coventry are only within a matter of points of getting into the top 6. Sheffield Wednesday themselves, they've not been as consistent as they have been, but they have been consistent enough to stay within touching distance of getting into that top 6 place. And both sides could look at this game thinking a win for either one of them, for one would actually push the top 6 rival, down in a very crucial time of the season. But it will mean that they gain a bit of an advantage of them and could actually have a really good chance of getting into the top 6 if results go their way. So a lot's riding on this game for both clubs here. As a prediction, oh my goodness me, this is a tough one. I think a lot may be back in Coventry because of their form. But I'm also really liking Sheffield Wednesday. I think I'm going to go for a draw, and I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I'm a little bit on the fence with both of these sides, because both on their day could offer something unbelievable. So therefore, I'll go for a draw, and it's almost like a wait-and-see sort of game. I'm really intrigued more than anything to see how this game unravels. But let me know what you think, though, in the comments. Next still got Stoke and Swansea. I can't lie, I don't think this game is really going to offer too much attention. Both sides are still, within the relegation mire, but they're in the top part of that relegation cluster of teams. And it would take a devastating run of form from one of these sides to get dragged into the relegation battle currently. I mean, we've seen crazy things happen in the Championship, of course. But honestly here, it's a tough one. Both sides did lose in midweek. Stoke lost to Bristol City by 2-0. Swansea lost out to Sheffield Wednesday. Thought that they may have had a last-minute equaliser, but goal was disallowed. They'll be wanting to go into this game trying to pick themselves up. They did win in their last away game as well, of course, against Bristol City here. Tough one this for me. As a prediction, I might actually edge Stoke for home advantage. I was thinking 0-0, but right this last minute, I'm going to change my mind and I'm going to go 1-0 Stoke. I'm going to absolutely kick myself if it ends 0-0 now, but I just have a funny feeling Stoke might have that additional firepower at home. And what a game to end off week 33. Leeds versus Sunderland. Oh my days. Now, do you remember the reverse fixture? Because I certainly do, like it was yesterday. It was one of the most gripping live championship games I've actually seen this season. So not many have actually been as memorable as this one, but I do remember it vividly. Leeds being on the cusp of being the only team to beat Sunderland away from home all season. Haven't been particularly good away from home before this game. But Ilya Melier with a very, very poor mistake, giving Sunderland a lifeline right in a stoppage time, and it ends 2-2. Are we going to see similar drama here? I don't know, but honestly, it will absolutely make for great viewing if we do see anything as dramatic as that again. Leeds are on fire at the moment. They are blowing away teams for fun. They're scoring lots of goals, and I can't lie, they're playing like a side that are really desperate to be promoted. They are on 69 points, I think they are on currently. So if they keep this up, they could maybe slightly exceed 100 points. But the way that the form has been going for the top four this season, it feels like to me that they won't quite reach those consistent heights that we've seen in recent championship seasons. I mean, last year was a joke with that. I don't think we're going to quite see that this season, but ultimately, Leeds have certainly been recently the best side in the championship for me. But Sunderland are a really good outfit. So they, of course, beat Luton Town very, very recently by 2-0. But they did actually only were held to a draw against Watford. So their form hasn't been as strong and as consistent as the top four. But this is a big opportunity for Sunderland to see if they could potentially close the gap on the top of the table, because there's not a million miles away from 4th and 1st. And if 4th gets even closer to 1st, it gives 2nd and 3rd, Sheffield United and Burnley, who I've both predicted wins for, to really start putting the pressure on Leeds, who will be desperate to try and get into that 1st place. Oh my goodness me. I think it's going to be close. One goal I think will edge it. I am thinking it's going to be Leeds, simply because of their confidence, their momentum, and I think when Leeds are on that groove, it's really difficult for any side to stop them, even Sunderland. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Leeds, but honestly, I would not be too shocked if they do somehow find a really good result, Sunderland, but I'm going to edge it ever so slightly to Leeds. Right, that wraps it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Dare to say I am relieved that I managed to get this one sorted. So I'm still studying for exams currently, but it is now one video a week, which I am really, really pleased that that's the schedule we're going for right up to the exam day. And it is going to wrap up again after the exam's over, but honestly, I'm not going to mind that, of course. But yeah, as exam season gets closer, the more stress I'm feeling, but obviously, now for the fact that the schedule is now calming down ever so slightly, it is a massive relief for me. So, as always, guys, leave your score predictions in the comments down below to score points on Lexalexus Football Prediction League, and let me know of your thoughts of your club and the current situation in the Championship in the comments down below. Please like, subscribe, and share. All of those things really do help. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for showing this video, and as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.